Hey everyone, Fox with FoxeoGames, and let's talk about bad PC ports. Now, all of you know I love PC gaming. I've been doing it for a long time now. There are all sorts of advantages and pros to gaming on the PC. I love it, but the PC, more than any other system, can be prone to getting some bad ports. Now, the reason this happens generally is because you'll have a developer who's used to console gaming. Maybe all they've ever done are consoles. And then they decide, hey, or the publisher says, hey, you know what, this PC gaming market thing, this is huge. There's a whole bunch of money to be made here. You know, this is a growing market that's giant already and continuing to grow. Let's go ahead and release our game on PC as well. So they try to push out a port as quickly as possible just to rake in some money. And they don't really think about it. They don't look into the market and what's required because it is different. PC gamers do not accept console quality games. And when I say console quality games, I'm not talking about, you know, the gameplay and all that stuff, like the art direction. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some of the more hard-coded aspects of the game in terms of the graphics, the resolution, the frame rate, the options, control schemes. Basically, if you're going to make a game on PC, you need to give us high frame rate, high resolutions, tons of options to choose from, graphics options, control options, to use gamepad if that's an option, mouse and keyboard, all this stuff. But unfortunately, some of these console developers don't know what they're doing, and they release a game that's only of console quality, and it ends up being unacceptable for PC purposes. Beyond that, they oftentimes release it buggy, it doesn't run very well, or it may run terribly on, say, AMD graphics cards versus NVIDIA graphics cards because they didn't really test it and optimize it properly. And then speaking of optimization, some of these games will release, they'll be, you know, years old, so you should have no problem running it on your modern powerful graphics card, and yet the thing can barely pump out 60 FPS with many drops, even at lower resolutions and quality settings. So amidst all these bad PC ports, the question we need to ask ourselves is, how do we respond? Particularly us as PC gamers. Obviously, we're the customer base. How do we respond? Some recent examples include Batman Arkham Knight, which isn't the worst PC port in the world, but let's be honest, it was pretty bad, and they knew that. It's locked at 30 FPS. If you try to change it in the .ini file, it messes up some of the game's physics, and some weird issues can happen. Has horrible frame rate dropping. It doesn't have enough options in terms of the graphics, and it's got some other bugs and glitches and all sorts of weird stuff going on with that. Clearly unacceptable, and there was an unprecedented move to take a AAA title and then pull it from the Steam store. I've never heard of that happening before. If it has, you know, list in the comment section. But in terms of a AAA release, AAA title release, I've never seen one go for sale and then they just pull it off the store because it's so bad. It's in such bad condition. A much lesser known title that actually came out in even worse condition was Tokiden Kiwami, which is a great game on PlayStation 4 or the Vita. I have the original PS Vita Tokiden game, and I have Tokiden Kiwami on PlayStation 4. I love it. It's a really awesome Monster Hunter type game, but the PC port is abysmal. It just has terrible graphics. It just looks awful, low resolution and blurry. Doesn't have much in the way of options. It maxes out at 1920 by 1080 resolution, so if your monitor goes above that, you're out of luck. It doesn't have 16 by 10 aspect ratio. All sorts of problems with it. It doesn't really support mouse and keyboard. You have to have a controller. And, well, the biggest issue, not only is it locked to 30 FPS, essentially locked, but the frame rate and the speed of the game are one and the same. So if you have a G-Sync monitor, and your G-Sync monitor tries to get the game and the monitor to sync to anything above 30 frames per second, say 144 Hertz, the game plays in ultra fast-forward motion. Like, it literally looks like the game is sped up, like you fast-forwarded a movie or something. It's completely unplayable. So the question becomes, well, how do we respond to this? As a PC gamer, do you buy the game anyway and just deal with it? Do you refuse to buy it? Do we just offer a huge backlash after buying it? Do we offer a huge backlash to the company and not buy it? Well, there are two main schools of thought. Number one is, hey, if you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all. I'm not particularly of this school of thought, although I totally understand it, and I don't judge anyone who uses that mindset. Basically, it says, hey, we like the fact that you're trying to create a PC port of your games. We would love to see more games on the PC. PC has tons of games already, don't get me wrong, guys. But there are some console games out there that don't get PC releases that PC gamers would definitely like to play. The problem is, a lot of these companies make pretty crappy ports and then we end up getting a subpar experience. And in many cases, the experience is actually on par with the consoles, but as I said before, you know, I'm not judging console players, I'm just telling you how it is. PC gamers have a higher standard for their games. And I'm not talking about the gameplay elements and, you know, the length of the game and all that. I'm talking about the more, like I said, the programmed, hard-coded aspects of how the game performs. Well, that line of thought is okay. A lot of people said that about Dark Souls, which came out in just an unacceptable state. It was locked at 1024 by 720 sub HD resolution. I mean, you could get the resolution to go above that, but that wasn't actually the rendered resolution. That was just the resolution that it upscaled to, which looked terrible. Blurry textures, 30 FPS locked frame rate, but, and here's why I'm of the mindset that I'd rather they release the game somewhat, you know, subpar than not at all, because we were able as a community, particularly one person in particular, we were able as a community to release mods to get the game to an acceptable state. The DS Fix brought Dark Souls up to higher resolutions, whatever you wanted. It added a whole bunch of graphics options, things like screen space ambient occlusion, good anti-aliasing, you know, like I said, higher resolutions. Then we could use the DS Fix to get HD texture mods. That was my computer there, just finished a video rendering. HD texture mods, all sorts of cool stuff could be added to it, and we can get the frame rate much higher than 30, though you don't want to go too much higher than 60 because it messes with the physics. And that's why I'm of the mindset that we should provide a bit of a backlash. We should criticize it. We should make sure these companies know, hey, this is what you should be doing with the game. This is what's wrong with the port that you made. But I don't necessarily think that we should be telling these companies don't do them at all if you're not going to do them 100%. I mean, as long as they release a PC game that has at least 60 FPS, goes up to 1920 by 1080, preferably more. But at least if they're doing this, and it's, you know, real 1920 by 1080, not just upscaled, giving us some graphics options and making mouse and keyboard viable, then it's at least playable. So then as a PC gamer, you have the option of playing it if you want to. Whereas if they don't release that title at all, then, well, if you don't have a console, or the console that it's on, you can't play it at all. Now granted, a lot of console players like to say, ho ho, I have a console, so you PC gamers, you can't play the games I'm playing, but let's be honest, each of the consoles has its own exclusives. So if you want all of the console exclusives, you have to buy 3 consoles each generation. Let's be honest. In fact, you have to buy more than that if you count the portable systems. If you count the portable systems, essentially you'd have to buy 5 separate consoles. That's if you include portable systems as consoles. So, you know, just because you bought a PlayStation 4 doesn't mean you can play all the console games that are out there. You can't play the Wii U exclusives, you can't play PS Vita exclusives, you can't play Xbox One exclusives or 3DS exclusives. So me personally, I have a ton of consoles. I have a 3DS, PlayStation 4, Wii U, Wii, Xbox 360, PS3, all that junk. That doesn't really matter. What I want to know is, what is your opinion, guys? I want you to list it in the comment section below. How do you feel? Should companies not even bother to release a PC port if they're not going to do it right? Or should they just release it as best they can and hope the community fixes it, or hope that they get better in the future? What is your opinion? I'd love to know, guys. Please list it in the comment section below, and I will see you next time.